Welcome to Under the Weather. Hi, I'm Kristen, and I'm here to share the voices of a community forever changed by Cyclone Gabrielle. These are stories of survival and solidarity. Stories of what was lost, what was found, and what it means to begin again. For those of you with a dog in your life, you may know the person we have joining us today. Along with so many others in Pakowhai, living between two rivers put him right in the path of an inland tsunami. We touch on the immediate impacts of what was unleashed by Cyclone Gabrielle that day, but the focus of the conversation is the sting in its tail. How do you begin to navigate the obstacle course created by an event like this? When you've stared down the barrel of your own mortality, when you're traumatised and haunted by survivor's guilt, when you're faced with the brutal reality of total devastation. How do you rebuild your life from the ground up when there's no light at the end of the tunnel? Alistair Needs, well known to many of you as the Dog Man, is with us today to share his perspectives. Thanks for joining us, Al. Tell us about you. Where are you from?
Where am I from? I'm from the UK. I'm from a little place called Cosford, which is in a county called Shropshire. And I've probably lived in New Zealand now for 30 years.
And can you take us on a bit of a journey on your life with dogs?
Okay, my journey with dogs started when I was about 15. I got my first dog, which was a Springer Spaniel, back in the UK. I used to go beating on a local pheasant shoot. And so I got the pup from a gamekeeper. And I'd already used to do a lot of rabbit hunting with a mate of mine who had terriers, and we had lurchers and greyhounds and different things. So I'd always been involved with the dogs, but then I got my own dog. And then really from there on, and I probably got a couple more while I was still at home. And then my career was dairy farm managing. So I'd go onto the different farms and I would have one or two or three dogs. There were more pet dogs than working dogs. Met Ali over in the UK, my partner now, who we've been together for about 35 years. She was the groom on the farm where I worked. She was looking after the hunting horses. I was milking the cows. And then when we got together, I think I already had a border collie and still had the spaniel, and then we got a Rottweiler, and then later on I got a German Shepherd.
Okay.
So I guess then they've always been my hobby. I always enjoyed it. Was my escape from the farm was really to go off to the local dog club. A couple of dog handler mates and the police over in the UK that I used to do a bit of stuff with. And then coming to New Zealand, fairly similar, really. It was always a bit of an outlet. I used to do some agility and some obedience competitions.
Okay. So you are a bit of a lover of animals, really?
Yeah, for sure. Probably cows. Might sound weird, but I love dairy cows. I used to love Frisian cows. But as the herds get bigger and bigger, I don't know, it's not quite the same. It's less personal. It's a bit more of a factory. It's about staff management more than...
Yeah, okay.
So that's probably where I started to have enough of it, really, after 18 years of milking the cows. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Who or what else shaped you as a person?
I had two good parents, good people, worked hard. I had a really great grandfather who I spent a lot of time with. Gardening was his passion. My dad's passion was gardening and animals. And I think probably my first employer at 15 and a half on the farm, although he was tough, he taught me a good work ethic, which has gone on in the rest of my life for sure.
And what about your mum?
My mum, yeah, she was a nurse. So she was a real caring sort of a person who always cared about other people. She was born a nurse as opposed to just was a nurse, if that makes sense.
It does.
Was a doctor.
Yeah, it does. And tell us a little bit about your family here in New Zealand and Australia.
Okay, so I have a partner. We're not married, but we've been together for 35 years now. I've got two boys. Jack's the eldest one, who's 32, and Ben was 30 yesterday. So Ben's in New Zealand and Jack's on the Sunshine Coast.
Okay, and we'll come back to Jack and Ben a little bit later in the conversation, I'm sure. So as many of your friends and clients will know, you lived in Pakowhai when the cyclone came.
We've been living in Pakowhai for 13 years. I think when you work on other people's farms for 18 years, I always wanted a bit of my own dirt, and finally got 28 Hodgson Road, which was our home. So 13 years, it was a good spot to live. It was nice and central to the two cities. We had a boarding cattery that was existing when we moved in there, which was a great business for Ali when the boys were a bit younger. There was asparagus when we took the block on, so we carried on.
And when did you have the alpacas?
So when we had a guts full of asparagus picking, and the asparagus got a bit tired, and it was just like, okay, well,
you decided alpacas would be easy.
Well, no, I don't know. I think we must have probably gone to the Hawke's Bay show and seen some alpacas, I'm guessing. And when we were in Pakowhai, we had pretty well everything. We had a whole range of chickens, a whole range of goats, sheep, alpacas, horses. We probably had pigs. Yeah, we'd had everything there. We'd had
a menagerie.
Yeah, we had a really good time, really.
Okay, so lots of happy memories there.
Lots of happy memories, yes.
And you're now settled into your new home.
Yes.
But getting there has been a long, difficult haul, which is what we're going to talk about today.
Sure.
We know the immense destruction that was unleashed by Cyclone Gabrielle, but what many people don't understand is what it takes to recover from an event like this.
Sure.
And you're a great person to share this story, Al, because you're widely known, well respected, especially amongst those of us who have dogs, which covers most of Hawke's Bay. So take us back to the beginning. We're in the early days or weeks after the cyclone. What do you recall of the first signs of the support you were about to receive?
Okay, so I'll put it into perspective what I'd got to deal with, and then you can see why the support was important. I guess within maybe 5 hours, your home's completely submerged in water. Your dogs have drowned, your chooks have drowned, your sheep have drowned, you've watched 10 horses drown, all your belongings are probably pretty stuffed, and then you've stared death in the eye because you were on a 9-foot shipping container with 6 inches before you're going to get swept off the top. You've waved goodbye to your wife and you've said the Lord's Prayer and you're preparing to drown. So it's kind of like, to come back from that, it takes quite a bit of coming back from. So what I realised really early on was, I suppose there was like an acute stage and a chronic stage, a bit like an illness. And that acute stage, you've got to try and deal with that to prepare yourself almost for that long haul of that recovery. So I got offers of help from all over the country. Hey, come and live with us, come and work with us, come and live up here in Auckland. And in the end,
were you taken aback by that at the time?
I was. It was kind of like, really, I put this little post on my Facebook page a couple of days later just to say thank you to the people that, I mean, if I back the bus up, really, the community that's saved us with the chopper pilots, because without the chopper pilots deciding to get in the air and come looking for us, Ali would have been okay on the house roof because it didn't get to the peak of the house roof, but definitely I would have been gone. So they're the first people that definitely need the acknowledgement for ignoring advice and all the people saying go to two-tier or stay on the ground or whatever it was.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah, they were real heroes.
Yep. So then we got a house. So a lady, my sister-in-law, said, my friend Cheryl's overseas in Australia. She said you can have her house for 14 days.
Okay.
That was the house in Havelock, so we could get out of this turmoil, come over there, regroup, have a bed, have gifts of clothes, because we really only had left what we were standing in.
Yeah.
So then we had people contacting and dropping off clothes. One of my clients said, hey, you can have my vehicle. I'm away, have my ute for as long as you like. So I suddenly had some wheels.
Yes, that would have been a big deal. Yeah.
Yeah. And on the day, the trampoline had landed on the top of it. And he said to me, I think it's going to be a write-off. So I don't care what you do to it. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
In the end, it did. But
okay,
that's another story. But so I had some wheels. And then in those early days, it was day 2, getting back there, looking at the devastation, retrieving the dogs' bodies at 12 at night, because they didn't open the road till 10 p.m. and dealing with that and burying them and all the boys that came out and helped me do all that. And
your son Ben's friends, right?
Yeah, they all came with they all came with lights and spades, and it was and I took them out to a mate of his to his property where we were able to bury them, because trying to bury them where we were wasn't going to happen.
I'm glad that you had some good support around you at the time for that.
Yeah, it was great. And they're good young guys, you know what I mean? A lot of the young people, it's really good to see young people stepping up and realizing I suppose, probably the enormity of it and thinking, shit.
Absolutely, and especially since so many people were quite oblivious to it. Yeah.
They were. I'd come back
Yep.
to Havelock and I couldn't sleep, so I used to get up really early and go walking, and then I would call it a coffee shop, and insurance are terrible. They haven't sorted my tree that's fallen over my
Yeah.
fence. And I'm looking at these people thinking, oh, shit, you. And I remember seeing my mate is a drug dog handler, and he came into a cafe and I was outside. He said, hey, Al, how you going? I said, yeah, I'm all right. And I said, oh, do you know what's going on? And he hadn't got a clue. And there you're only probably a quarter of an hour from, or less.
Yep. It was unbelievable, really, wasn't it? That dichotomy between the apocalypse here and 5 minutes down the road, business
Sure.
as usual. Yep.
Yeah.
So tell me a bit more about the support that was coming around you in those early days and weeks.
Well, when I talk about that acute stuff, I suffered with like panic attacks. So they'd come over. You'd feel this. You'd probably be able to explain to me better as a doctor, but I'd get this feeling in my stomach, and then I'd want to vomit.
Yep.
And so the lady who offered us a paddock to live in, we put our new caravan in the paddock because the other caravan had floated away. So she said to me, I'm going to take you to my doctor. So basically grabbed me by the ear and said, we're going to the doctor at 9 o'clock. And so I went to see a nurse practitioner. I explained to her the situation. I said, I don't want any drugs. She said, I've got some good herbal stuff here. And also, I'm going to teach you how to breathe. And of course, to me, breathing was, I thought you just did it.
Yeah.
Never really.
Tell us about the breathing.
Oh, the breathing was basically, and again, you could correct me because you probably know more about what's going on. But when you feel that feeling in your stomach, you can breathe to cut that adrenaline down to prevent it going to the next stage where you want to dry reach and vomit, basically. And the first time that happened was when I retrieved the bodies of my dogs. Yeah, that was, and then I felt myself, I was just was sick. And then I had a few more times, and then I'd go out to some friends and say, come for dinner. And we'd sit there and have dinner, and they were laughing and joking. And I thought, oh God, this is just hideous. I can't stand it, And I'd go outside and reach. And I think some people just don't really know how to deal with people doing that.
Okay.
Like, oh, Christ, so I found out, but yeah, it's difficult because I guess if you haven't been, this is post-traumatic stress, isn't
absolutely,
it? Which we learned all about through different handouts that we were given. So she helped me immensely, and then the nurse practitioner helped me through that. And I then went to quite early on to see a lady. So it turns out she'd been a counsellor in Christchurch post the earthquake.
Yeah. Oh, so had the right experience.
She did.
Yeah.
She said, come round to my house, come at lunchtime, I'll make you lunch. And so she'd got tomato sandwiches and a cup of coffee, and she had a crazy bloody dog. And I thought, well, a few dogs, but the crazy dog, I can shut off to the crazy dog.
Okay.
It's not about the dog today.
Okay, which is a nice change.
Yeah, it was. And I think I said, I don't want the fluffy, self-directed bullshit. I said, you need to tell me what to do because I don't know what to do.
So you called a spade a spade.
Yeah, I didn't want to have to try to think or be given stuff which I then had to try and decide. I don't know. I just said, tell me what to do. And she said, shine the torch on your feet. Stop looking for the end of the tunnel.
I love that.
So those probably words you could apply to anything in life, really. If you keep looking for the end result all the time, it's because it's, 18 months away, you just don't see it.
Yeah.
So you just have to focus on today, start to work out, okay, Ali and I would work out what she was going to deal with, what I was going to deal with, so we weren't overlapping. We realised that some people fill your tank and other people drain your tank. And we realised that anger was going to kill me. So yeah, I could probably touch on the lady that probably, stopped me from committing suicide, really. So this particular morning, this lady appeared, and I don't know where she was. I'm from fire and emergency, and she said, I've just come to see if you need any help.
Okay.
But I've also come to... She knew, probably. I don't know how she knew, really. So we talked quite candidly about suicide, and we talked about, do you know where the ladder is? Do you know where the rafter is? Well, it was clear that I had a garage with rafters, and it was clear I had an extension ladder. It was clear there was plenty of rope lying around it. So she said to me, here's my phone number. I only give this to my son and my husband, and this is available to you 24 hours a day. She said, because
Wow.
if you step on that
Okay.
first rung of that ladder, you're not coming down. So I understood more about it. You know, people often talk about people and how selfish it is, but I understood that it's actually not a selfish thing. It's people get to the stage where they're utter desperation. They just want to escape whatever it is, and this is the simple, easy route out. And so, yeah, I feel like I've got a better empathy to people that,
find themselves in that place.
Absolutely, yeah. And I, when people say, "Oh, my lady I know, husband's killed himself," or whatever, selfish, whatever they call them, and it's just like, well, yeah, okay, it seems a selfish act to you because of what he's left behind and what they have to deal with. But as far as he was concerned at that time, it wasn't a selfish act. He probably thought he was relieving them of a burden. So I think it's good to understand these things because, yeah, it makes you, well, it's more stuff that you know, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
Deal with
and you're more likely to be able to help someone who might be in a similar situation that you might cross paths with in the future.
I've had 2 posts, which I probably wasn't quite ready to deal with. 2 clients that, and I didn't really have the skills to, when you get a text message to say I'm about to take the pills, it's just like, it's not.
God, yeah.
And another guy, and another story, but it's just like, I can't deal with this at the moment. Yeah, I've been through some shit, and yeah, I might have got through it, but I can't deal with it. Sorry.
It comes back to what you were saying before, which is very wise about, surrounding yourself at a time when you're vulnerable with people who fill the tank, not drain it.
You haven't got much left, so if you
that's right.
It doesn't take long for it to be depleted.
Absolutely.
And once it's gone, it takes a lot of building back up again.
That's right. Yeah. So what were the other supportive elements or interactions that you had with people that were special for you?
Friends, clients, strangers rocking up at our house to shovel silt, throw all our belongings out on the grass verge to be trucked away, bringing round baking, you name it. There's so many people that, the Sikhs bringing us lunch. There was just so many different, and I would look at people and say, "Who are you?" And I said, "I've just come to help you." And then there were mates and, clients, and they would pull up, and that was the thing. They were there to do what they could. I remember Kay, she'd come with her little car and a wheelbarrow and a shovel in the back.
Right.
She's in her 70s, and I'm coming to shovel silt, whether you like it or not. So everybody did the bit that they could do. And I think when you are surrounded by offers of help, one thing I learned is that you actually have to take the help, because that makes them feel better. Because there was a lot of people that felt bad, and their way of making themselves feel better was to offer the help. So you actually have to take the help. That's quite important. I learned that because I'm probably more one, so no, it's fine,
Sure.
But it wasn't fine, was it? That was a mess.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
And tell us a bit about your sons and the role that they played.
Okay, so Ben wasn't there on the morning. He was at his girlfriend's house the night before, so he probably found out quite quickly about what was going on, and then he managed to get a friend of his, her parents picked us up from the evacuation centre in Railway Road, got us back to Havelock, and then took us into town that next morning to buy some clothes.
Yeah, sure.
Go sort out bloody cell phones. It's horrible to think that's the first thing you got to deal with is bloody cell phones, but you're stuffed with that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, we did have to get some communication sorted.
As best you could when there weren't much in the way of comms.
I think it was that initially, it was all that help from all those different people. And without the community support, we'd have been absolutely stuffed, because there wasn't anybody else coming knocking on the door.
There wasn't. No, there wasn't.
9 days, I think Hastings District Council lady turned up, 9 days post-event, just to check on my health and welfare, which was, she was only doing her job, but shit, I said to her, 9 days, I live the other side of the Chester Hope Bridge. I don't live out the back blocks where you can only get to me by air. I don't know. But then there possibly wasn't their job to come helping. So I don't know whose job it was. The rapid response team, the Brethrens at the Railway Road, when we got there, shit, that was sort of a slick operation.
Okay,
that was.
yeah.
Barbecues.
Okay.
I think, without the community and the people, I think it was great, because we actually saw communities come together and realise that, I think it was a bit more like the old days, maybe. When you live in these rural communities that are so close between two cities, you don't really rely on your neighbours as much as you do when you're further out.
But there were some neighbours that you have quite close friendships with, right?
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. Who still live there, you know. Some of us have had to. I mean, we could have stuck out, but we've moved on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not moved on because we wanted to necessarily, but moved on because of situation.
Okay. And I'd love for you to share with us today the anecdote about Papa T.
Right. So that was a fella that I got this text from a guy by the name of Papa T, and he said to me, I've got something for you. I want to come out and meet you. And I said, well, I'm there every day from 8 till whatever, till I've had enough. And he said, right, I'll come. And he turned up. So Papa T is a kamato. He does a lot of work at the prison, from what I'm told. They were trying with rehabilitation. And he had some Pounamu, of which the one I've got here, which is one that he gave to me for strength and courage. And he said to me, these things aren't given to you, they find you.
Yeah.
He did one for one of my dogs that I lost. And he did one for Ali and some earrings for Ali.
Yeah, okay. Oh, earrings as well. Oh, how cool. That's really special.
So then we did the hongi in the driveway and all the silt and the shit. One of the things that I found quite profound was the fact that this was kind of like I'm an import. And I'm sure there's people that think, bugger off back to your own country. And and I found that there were two races here, Māori guy and an English guy, and one's going through a tough time, and there's one coming along to support him.
Yeah.
So to me, that felt really inclusive. It felt really part of. Yeah, it was powerful, and that thing really. I take it off at night, but I realised later on I had some counselling with a lady, and she talked about an anchor. So when I explained to her what this does for me, when I'd get into a stressful situation, I could just hold on to that in my fist like that, and it just grounded me.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
And she said, "Oh, it's your anchor." So yeah, I'll be forever grateful for that gift, and I think it's something that's probably. Some people might look at it as quite an insignificant thing, but I think it's probably been one of the most poignant things.
Yes, it is really special. I hope that you will meet again with Papa T.
Yes.
Yeah.
Interestingly, a while back, one of my clients who actually, very brave lady who had voluntary euthanasia, she gave me this Pounamu dog whistle.
Oh, okay.
And that also means a lot. So, yeah.
And one of the other things that you touched on when we've talked before is that you, in those early days, had some offers of some places to stay all around New Zealand. Did you end up being able to get away down to the South Island, or was it too hard in the end?
It was too hard. We had a lovely offer of a place to go and holiday somewhere in a beautiful spot in the South Island and go up in a chopper and do different things. But no, we didn't take it up. Not because we didn't want to. I guess it was just never felt the right time, really. Okay. I had somebody say, "Hey, do you want to come and work for us? You can escape." And as much as escaping might have felt good at the time, the ship wasn't going away. There was a massive stuff to deal with, and so that wasn't going to go anywhere. Yeah, I could go and run away, but you had to face the music, basically.
Yeah, sure. So that's a shame that you couldn't get away, but yeah, I can see that it would have been really difficult.
I did go back to the UK because I'd missed my mum's 80th birthday during the COVID pandemic, so I was unable to get back for that.
Okay.
Felt it was only... I just needed to go back there, and it was good to see the family. And it's difficult, really, because you get lifted out of one life and immersed into another life. But I said to my mum, we won't be kind of normal, really, because this isn't something that just goes away.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So we've touched on this quite a lot already. You had the insight to realise early on that psychological support was going to be a key part of you being able to unravel one life and build a new one. Is there anything else that you can tell us about the role it's played for you, and what else were you able to do to get away from the difficulties and the challenges, like to get away mentally, I mean?
I guess I used to meditate, which, this is I'm a normal bloke that's never bloody breathed from a belly before or meditated. And it's just like, but I would wake up at 2 a.m. and I couldn't sleep. And I thought, well, there must be things that you can do to help yourself.
Yeah, sure.
So I used to do that. I couldn't really read. I talked to you about my gratitude journal. I think when you're in this sort of situation, it's very easy just to focus on all the negative. But every day, something positive would happen. So we might get back, and on the caravan doorstep, every time we would get back to our caravan in the paddock, which became our home, there'd be ice cream container full of baking, or
Okay.
6 ice cream containers full of
Okay,
baking,
wow.
or fish,
Okay.
or fruit. And so that was a good thing that day, right? And then you woke up. That was another good thing. The sun might be shining. That was another good thing. So there was always good stuff. But sometimes if you don't look for the good stuff to celebrate, you get caught up in all the bad stuff.
Absolutely.
So I think that's probably really, really important. And I think in those early acute stages, just physically working hard, cleaning up stuff. I mean, if I knew then what I know now, I would have known that you can get through it. But also think of all the work and the hours of bloody stuff we did there. And actually, when the bulldozer comes in, it could have all... So there was unfortunately, a lot of wasted effort. But I think in those early days, that effort meant that you had something to focus on, something to do, something to get rid of energy. And I remember one day, the lady that the suicide incident I talked about, or around that, she got a whole pile of Fijian firefighters. There was probably, I'm going to say, 6 of them who came out and shoveled silt.
Yeah, okay.
That was a really uplifting day, because they're a real good bunch of guys. So there are lots of things I think you know, and it is trying to focus on, as much as it didn't feel like there was a lot of good stuff, there always is some good stuff there. And to be able to focus on that and actually write it down. I know it sounds a bit, well, I don't know whether people, but I thought, I'm going to try anything. I knew that alcohol probably wasn't the greatest thing to be. I was really careful. And I remember one guy, the house that we were living in Havelock, her son came round. Here's a bottle of scotch, here's a pile of beer, here's some wine. And,
the good old Kiwi coping strategy, right?
Yeah, but I thought, how nice that would be. But what I decided to do was, when my eldest son came back, I think possibly about a week later from Australia, at the end of the day, we'd get back to Havelock, we'd have a shower and we'd sit down and have a beer together, which was good. My youngest son was able to come there and stay there as well with his girlfriend. So we had a little family there, which was good.
Would have been what you needed.
It was, because we had so many offers of houses, of people saying, hey, Al, I'm going away for 4 or 5 months. You can have our house. You can come and live with us. And we sat down and we did these little sort of lists of the pros and cons of what we could do. And then we just thought, actually buying another caravan, putting it in that paddock, we could go home, we could bloody laugh, we could cry, we could do whatever we wanted to do without having to deal with anybody.
Yeah, that's right.
Personal space.
All right. So we've talked a bit about the things that have supported you, be it formal kind of professional support or informal support, or the outpouring of love from the community, friends, family. The flip side of that is that sometimes people have made unhelpful comments.
Yeah.
Hopefully none with any intentional malice, but the effects of poorly chosen words when you're vulnerable can be hurtful or even harmful. Can you give us a rundown on what not to say when someone is battling their way through a trauma like this?
It's a really, really good point, because what I've learned post this event is if somebody talks to you about something that's going on in their life, you're almost better to say nothing than to say what could be the wrong thing. I had a woman say to me, I would have drowned trying to save my dogs. And I thought, thanks for that. But you don't actually realise that, I would have drowned because it was physically impossible for me to get back to them.
Yes, that's right.
Anyway, and then, I had a lot of grief about the horses that I was trying to save that drowned. Did you take the rugs off? Did you do this? Did you do that? And it's just like, well, they weren't my responsibility. I was trying to help. And you had to have been there to understand.
Yep.
I had a regional council person say to me that there's winners and losers in life. And unfortunately, you're a loser, which was dumbfounding. Probably those are the words that are stuck in my mind. But now I know who the loser is, and it ain't me.
100%. Yeah.
I think another guy said to me, I remember going to help him with his dog, and he said to me, you think you're badly off? They're way worse in Esdale. what we'd learned was everyone's big is big. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter how much silt you had or how
That's
much
right.
water you had. If you were impacted by it, it still was big for
Yeah.
you. And so I said to him, well, I can't let you get away with saying that. That's bullshit. You've talked to me about 12 inches of bloody water in your garage, not 3.5 meters of water. But anyway, and then I had a guy tell me that he thought I should go into Cranford Hospice and have a walk around and see people that were a lot worse off than myself. And then I bucked my
Unbelievable,
ideas
the
up.
stuff that people come out with.
Yeah.
Sorry, Al. Yeah.
But it's just like, hey, I get it. There's people worse off, but that doesn't make you feel, I don't know. But yeah, it's better not to say anything, right? Because if you got to think about what you're going to say, or think about the implications of what you're going to say, or say it to yourself first to see what it actually sounds like. Words you can't take it back. So yeah, it's interesting, but when you think of the looting, the people that were coming around, and well, Ali said to me, we need to get back there because anything that we can salvage that's of any value, or it's going to go. And people were like, no, surely not. And
she was right.
Yeah, and you know what? I actually feel sorry for those people. You could be angry, and you could, but I actually feel sorry if you're the sort of person that wants to profit from somebody else's misfortune and make that situation worse. Then what can you say?
Yeah.
I took my gumboots off one lunchtime, left them on the grass verge to get in my ute because they were so filthy. And when I came back, the gumboots had gone. I was just like, who's taken my gut? If you want my smelly, bloody gumboots, take them.
Yeah.
So
annoying though, because right then your gumboots, I mean, were pretty essential, right?
More than essential, but it's just like, but hey, there's always somebody else. Hey, don't worry, there's some more gumboots here. So yeah.
Okay. So I believe you and Ali decided quite early on to divide and conquer. Ali handled the insurance.
She did.
And you handled the councils, particularly the voluntary buyout. If Ali was with us today, what do you think she'd want to share about how she navigated the insurance?
She should be proud that she spent 8 hours on the phone one day, and the internet was so bad that if she got off the spot that she was standing on, you'd be cut off, and it's an absolute nightmare because nobody wants to talk to you. And that's just like, but she did, and she handled it really well. She broke down a few times. There was the contents, and they wanted bloody receipts for all this stuff. And she's, what do you want me to do?
Yeah.
What do you want me to do?
Yeah, I've heard a lot of that, insurance companies wanting receipts for things. It's like, do you not understand what's happened here?
Clearly
everything's been washed away. Yeah, they didn't. Yeah.
So she sorted all the vehicles out quite quickly. She sorted the contents insurance out, and then we battled with the house insurance. I think actually we were really lucky because we were insured with AMI, and our assessor worked for them. He wasn't an assessor that had been brought in.
Oh, okay.
And he said, look, here's my cell phone number. If you need to contact me, he said, I can't always answer the phone, but I'll always get back to you.
Well, that's
Simon
good,
was
right?
his name.
Okay, so he made himself available and approachable.
He was a superstar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she battled. We would go, and luckily IAG set up a hub in Station Street in Napier, which allowed us to go in, speak to somebody. They could see when you'd previously been in. They could see where they were up to, so you didn't have to keep repeating the story. And then one day, Ali went in, and the big boss from Christchurch was there, and she said, "This should be sorted. This is what you've got to do."
Okay.
And the girl at the BNZ Bank was extremely helpful. And
okay.
Got all the information, and the house got paid out. So then, really, the insurance journey was over quite quickly for us. We were extremely lucky.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think one of the things we've learned from that was get in quick, because sometimes I think, maybe I might be wrong here, but I think they panic a little bit at first and they just want to start settling stuff.
Yeah,
and doing
sure.
stuff.
Yep.
The longer the journey goes on, the more time they've had to look at it, and then it gets harder. It takes longer.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So I think my advice is, as hard as it may be at the time to think I've got to deal with that, is get onto it. And I think the fact that she just did that meant that we weren't crossing over and repeating stuff, because you can also get quite a short fuse.
Yes.
And you can get that short fuse with the ones closest to you. So to try and avoid that conflict, why didn't you say this? Why didn't you say that? It was alleviated by the fact that
each of you had your own departments, right? So
Yeah.
she's the Minister of Insurance and you're the Minister of the buyout and everything that entails.
all that stuff.
Okay.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, very wise.
It's cool.
Yeah. So where the councils were concerned,
Yeah.
which is where you came in, you had two very different beasts to wrangle. You had Hawke's Bay Regional Council and Hastings District Council. So one of them categorised the land and
Correct.
the other handled the practical implications for the landowners.
Yeah, it's been a hell of a journey, really, and it's been a really interesting journey. Really, as far as the Hawke's Bay Regional Council, I've got nothing to say about them. Don't even want to talk about them. Hastings District Council, I felt that they did the best to try and support us that they could. Initially, we had a Category 3 connector who would deal with us. So if we needed to talk about anything or ask anything, we would deal with her and she would find out. Or then later on, we had a voluntary bark connector. So Deb was my Cat 3 connector. Raywin was our voluntary bark connector. And I said to the Hastings District Council Chief Exec, without those girls, you'd have been stuffed. They were the glue that kept it all together, that helped us to navigate. They saw us at our worst, us and heard us at our worst. We might be wanting to try and vent. We might be emotional. It was just like they had a lot of shit to deal with, those girls. Yeah. And what you also had to realise as somebody that was going through it, if you didn't know the person that you were dealing with, you didn't know what they were going through either.
Yeah, sure, of course, yeah.
So you've got to be careful if you go to a public meeting and start berating some official. How do you know that they weren't affected?
Yeah,
how do you know his mother hasn't just died? I mean,
it was so widespread, wasn't it? That so many people were affected. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
What changes do you think need to be implemented by insurers and councils to ensure a better process for those who are impacted by the next disaster?
I haven't given that any thought.
That's right.
I've kind of.
You don't have to.
No, I just think, first of all, I think what you find a lot with maybe councils and big organisations, they say they care about what the people think, but I think even if you tried to say how something could be done better or improvements could be made, or if they asked you, they don't really want to know because they've already made the decisions.
Yeah.
So I haven't wasted any thought on that.
Okay.
Really. I do think that Hastings District Council did a really good job. I think they were left holding this bloody baby, and it's just like, shit, what a mess we've got.
Okay,
here.
yeah. It was a screaming bright red baby with a shitty nappy, right?
It was horrible. And it's just like, you're damned if you do and damned if you don't. And I think that sometimes you've got to be respectful. And I didn't ever really raise my voice or and I found it to be really receptive. So, and I'm sure there'll be other opinions on that, but I've got to give you and you've got to give credit where credit's due. Because, people are very quick to criticise.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you'd like to share about the insurance or buyout process and everything that has entailed for you and Ellie?
I think probably the hardest piece at the end of the buyout process for us really was that because the Hawke's Bay Regional Council left me with a mixed category property, which meant I had 4 hectares of Category 3 and 0.8 of a hectare of Category 2C, of which they said I was safe to live down the back, which then meant that Hastings District Council worked the compensation that I was going to get on the fact that I could still live on my land. And so basically they offered me 1/5 of what I could have, but I could get 5 times the amount, but I had to go to an independent advisory panel. And the policy document said that you had to have a clear pathway. I felt I hadn't got a clear pathway. Okay. So then, Al, you've got to put your case across. So to be fighting at 18 months or whatever it was, 16 months, I felt that was a real kick in the guts. And I thought, you know what? I've got self-respect. And I will fight this.
Good on you.
Because I felt I was in a interrogation, sitting in my little shell of a house on plastic garden chairs, being told, take this out and it'll all be over in 10 days' time. And I thought, that's an absolute insult. But have 5 times the amount, but you've got to fight for it. So I said, well, show me the door to fight for it then. So that was probably the only part of it. But, as they kept saying to me, we have to protect our ratepayers. Well, I'm pretty sure that most of us in these affected areas were ratepayers. Stop telling me about the ratepayers. We are ratepayers.
Absolutely. Can you tell us a little bit about what you've incorporated from your previous life, if you want to call it that, into this unexpected new chapter?
Oh, what I've incorporated? I guess emigrating was a big change for me back when I was 27. So I suppose you're able to bring that in. So experience probably, and that word resilient is a word that gets flashed around pretty easily nowadays.
Yep.
But I guess you have, being a farming, especially in New Zealand, because you're very reliant on the elements. So you do become resilient to a degree because you have to be. Well, you don't have to be, but it pays to be. Otherwise, you're not going to. So I suppose I had some resilience there, but I never felt so weak as I felt standing on that shipping container waiting to drown. I didn't think that, oh, I could swim. I can try and get on that house roof down there, or Adam's shed roof, and then the apple tree. I actually didn't have anything at that moment from my past that I was able to draw on.
Yeah. So, Elle, I believe there have been a couple of other things, really meaningful things that you have brought from your previous life. Again, I don't know if that's quite the right way to put it, into your new chapter, and so I'd love you to share that with us today.
Okay. Basically, I probably demolished my home. Half of it, probably. I got all the tin off and all the wiring out, and got a bit of money from the scrap guys from that. And then a lot of the floorboards are going into my sister-in-law's new home, and weatherboards into my son's home, maybe. And a lot of windows have gone into other people's places. That's really good.
It lives on.
It lives on. I've got a photograph that I took of when I went back one day, the only thing that was left standing of the house was the brick fireplace and the paddock with everything else, flattened. And so,
did you take that photo?
Yes.
Oh, did you? I presumed it was, because I've seen it, right? And so I thought it was a professional photographer.
No, it's just a selfie.
It's such a great photo. Yeah.
It was poignant going back there that day and just seeing this chimney. So I got a photograph of that. I've sort of plotted the whole way through the different stuff. So I had lots of photographs that I put in like a collage, and I'm going to get that framed with the narrow floorboards out of the airing cupboard or something like that.
Sure.
So, because some people said to me, why don't you just move on? It's just like, that's not a good thing to tell somebody to do. I can't just move on. I want, I want to remember it, right?
Yep.
So I've got the old rural mailbox. That's a daily reminder of our old home. Then I've got a collage of all the good and the bad times.
Okay.
Which is going to be framed with the floorboards.
Yeah, I think it's cool that you've done that rather than just doing what someone unhelpfully suggested and moving on.
Dumb thing to say to say, I think you need to move on. It's just like, do you think I'm not trying?
We can add that to the list of crazy things people have said, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And tell us a little bit about your tattoos.
Oh, okay. So my tattoo on my right arm is a dog collar, and that's got the tags of... So I lost 3 dogs on that day. 2 were my personal dogs that worked in my business alongside me. That was Duke and Nora, Duke in particular. And then the other dog I lost was a little dog that was going up to corrections on the Sunday to hopefully start his career as a drug dog. But unfortunately met his maker on the Tuesday, which was a bit of a... So I can say to you today, sitting here, that most of what went on that 18 months ago, I've managed to get over. Probably the bit I'll never get over is the loss of those 2 dogs, because really they died because I wasn't there for them. If I'd put... The first time I went back home when the water was up to my waist, had I put them on the roof of the house, they'd still be here together today. But I didn't put them on the roof of the house. I put them somewhere where I thought they were safe, but obviously they weren't. So that's why I thought, I could get a tattoo with their names. And I thought I could get a tattoo like a dog collar and I could put there.
Yeah.
And so for me, this sounds really... It might sound a bit pathetic to some blokes, but they're with me every day, really. I just kind of felt like it was just a tribute to them, really.
A tribute. Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And the other tattoo?
The fern?
Yeah.
Is to celebrate my new life, basically. So I look at that frond, sort of, that's coming out.
New beginnings. Because that's what the kuru means, doesn't it? New beginnings?
Yes, and it felt like I didn't want a Māori tattoo because that's not what I am, is it? But I wanted something that had a New Zealand identity to it.
Yep.
And I've since, just probably a month ago, got my citizenship.
Congratulations. Welcome aboard.
Yeah, after 30 years, it's just like... And so the thing that prompted me to really get off my backside and do that was after Cyclone Gabrielle, and the support that I received made me feel valued and that I was a Kiwi.
That's amazing.
Time to get the citizenship. So that was a real honour to receive. There was 81 of us that evening from 21 different countries. It's really cool.
Okay. Yeah. Well, welcome
so another
to the team.
Another good thing out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have there been any other critical turning points or milestones for you in your recovery to date?
Oh, my breakdown after a council meeting probably in the chambers was probably the worst time of my life. I guess it was a really tough decision that they were trying to make, and it's just like, and I think
Oh, this is the demolition.
Yeah, it
Yes.
was, and I think it just got to a stage where I think sometimes you hold a lot of stuff in, and it's obviously important to let it go, but it was just the most hideous thing, and I managed to get out of that meeting room, and I have a few clients in the council there. One of the girls came out and she was really supportive. And I think that was probably my worst day.
Oh, right. Really?
Apart from
the day
and a couple of days later.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think from then it was kind of like, well, you can't go any further now, so you can only go up.
Okay.
And there was definitely a point where I realised that I could see the light at the end of the tunnel, which was great because suddenly the end was in sight, which,
that would have been a good feeling.
Yes, very good feeling.
Yeah.
And we kind of both felt that at the similar time, which was great because it was just like, shit, this can be over.
And you can have your life back.
Yeah.
Yeah. I read something just last night or this morning. I think it's probably oversimplified, but I quite liked it. And it was psychosocial recovery isn't about going back to normality. It's about positively adapting to your new reality. How does that sit with you?
It's perfect, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It is because and I guess what I've learned is that humans are resilient.
Yeah.
They are adaptable as a species
over
generations, but sometimes you have to adapt within that generation.
Yeah.
I mean, we only live, well, as far as I know, you only live once. And so, I want to make the most of it. I want to say, you've got to adapt to the new. And I've shifted to town and people, what's it like living in town? What's it like living in town? That's good. Yeah, sure, there's stuff I don't like about it. Sure, there's stuff I prefer to be living where I was, but I can't. So just
it's the pragmatist
suck
in
that
you.
bit up and try and look for the good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
When your partner says to you, when we got to the evacuation centre, I think it was when we got there, she said to me, I won't say the swear word, but you left me to drown. And so that takes a bit of coming back from having all that stuff. And then for her to say you left me to drown was pretty... So I'm happy that she's happy because she's happy in where we're living. So that is good in itself.
It's a nice spot.
So because I kind of let her down. So,
Okay. Eventually, you were able to reach a point where you were ready to have a dog again. Tell us about Arthur and what the two of you are doing together in the community.
Okay. So I've had and I'd probably be criticised because I had a foster dog for a while from the SPCA, and then I was given a couple of dogs as well. But it's very easy to go out and get another ute. Well, it wasn't easy at the time to get a ute because they were like hen's teeth, but I got another ute fairly easily. And I got a car, and you get another couch, and you get a bed and all this stuff. But for me, I needed a dog in my business.
Yep.
I had to stop work for a while because I couldn't deal with other people's problems as well as my own. So then I thought, if I'm going to carry on doing my job that I'm passionate about, I do need another dog. And so got Arthur.
Okay.
So he's a young Labrador, and he is my mentor dog in my business. And he's also, we were asked to check the dogs out for St. John therapy, do the assessments. And then I thought, maybe I used to rest home visit with previous dogs.
Yes.
Maybe I could do that again. So cut a long story short, he and I do that. The biggest thing in this whole thing has been community. And I think, well, if you live in a community, you should be part of that community. And part of that community is giving to others and helping others. And there's lots of these people that sit in these rest homes that previously had dogs in their lives that love going in and seeing you and seeing the dog.
That's right.
And they pat the dog and smile. And so that's cool that he can do that I can be part of that too. And the other guys, they go into lots of different places. It's not just rest homes. It might be schools or wherever there's a need for a dog to help, really. Yeah.
So there aren't really any words that can neatly pigeonhole what you've been through. And this ordeal doesn't define you, but it may have changed you. What else is different now, and what new perspectives do you have on life?
I suppose I could say really I'm a better person for the experience. One of the things that somebody said to me, try and be a better version of yourself every day. And so I think it's easier to do that. It's easier to appreciate the small things in life. I had some counselling with a lady and a session with another lady, but I had 6 sessions with a guy. He's actually a client of mine. And one of the things he said to me, you know, just go out and look at the small things and be appreciative of the small things. So I think I was pretty empathetic prior, but I feel like I've got more empathy. I've got more understanding of people that might be going through something. I've got a better outlook on what's actually important and what's not important.
Sure.
Material things are not important. You learn that when you're stripped back to nothing. It's just like, actually, that stuff, oh, yeah, we did have one of those, or oh, I did have that, or we did have that, but actually, none of it really matters. Yeah, you need a bed, you need a couch. It's nice to have a TV, and it's nice to have a few little fluffy things, but that actually doesn't mean a lot. So I think there's a few things I might quite like to do in life that I might get on and do now rather than wait for, you know, what are you waiting for?
Okay.
I've got a better work-life balance because I've realised that why wait until was an age where you think, right, I'm retired now, and then physically then maybe. So I've got a different perspective on life. So apart from the losses, I'm better for the experience. Yeah, I'm a survivor, and I survived it, and I got over it. And if I knew then what I now know today, then it would have been like, shit, this will turn out okay.
Oh, yeah.
You don't know that, do you?
No.
You play the cards you dealt, basically.
Yeah, that's a good message. It's not so much what you dealt, but how you play the hand. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. I think it's only a small circle of people that actually really understand, which is when we used to go to our dinners at the dinner club.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
On a Friday evening. We could talk to some people. We'd talk to people, cry with people, laugh at people that understood.
Do you want to talk a little bit about dinner?
Yeah. So the dinner club was a fantastic thing that was put on probably by a couple of ladies initially, but went on to be spearheaded by Jane Morgan. Her and a willing group of supporters would put on a meal for us every Friday evening. We'd basically get a 3-course meal with tablecloths and wine or a beer. But I think the biggest thing, the food was fantastic, but it was the sharing of the stories of people that understood. And what we would watch those people, we would go from, you'd sit next opposite somebody else and you'd talk about your story, and there'd be tears rolling down people's cheeks, and people would hugging people. And then as those weeks progressed, you'd see smiles, and you'd oh, you know, I've got the house is starting to be rebuilt, or we've got a new kitchen, or we've got this, or we've dealt with that. And suddenly you could see people's recovery.
Yeah, okay.
Which is so cool.
Yeah.
It's so cool. It's just like,
So the sun started coming out from behind the clouds.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you needed to give advice to someone facing a similar crisis, what would you tell them?
I wished when I was in, you know, because I would get up at 2 a.m, and then it's just like, there's only so many cups of coffee you could drink. I'm not great at reading a book. If somebody said to me, Al, listen to this podcast or whatever it may be, there's a guy there that's been through some stuff and he's got some really good tips on dealing with this. To be directly told to go to so-and-so means you haven't got to go through a whole raft of people on the internet. So my advice really would be, I think you just have to look after the ones closest to you. Because if you don't look after the ones closest to you, you don't have anybody really left. I think you've got to take stock. You got to shine the light on your feet. Okay, deal with what you're doing now. Don't worry about trying to get to the end because it's too far away. I think you've got to accept help. I think you've got to realize that you're vulnerable, and so you've got to surround yourself with the right people. It's not a weakness to ask for help. It's not a weakness to go and see your GP. It's not a weakness to see a counsellor. It's actually a strength.
It is a strength. Yeah. It is.
Yeah. And so people say to me, those counsellors are full of, you know what? No, they're not. They're people that are trained to try and help people, but you have to want to be helped.
Yeah, that's right.
So my last counsellor, when the DHB, Fata Ora, said there's 6 free counselling sessions, and this was like 18 months later, and I'm saying 18 months, it might not have been quite that, but it was a long time. But I realised the value of that, and I said to them, is it possible I could pick my own counsellor rather than talk to somebody on a phone? Because I don't think talking to somebody on a phone is very helpful.
It's not going to be the same, is it? You're not going to be able to engage the same way. Yeah.
No. And every time I'd go to him, he gave me a little nugget to go home with, which I then would share with Ali when I got home. And it allowed us to grow, really. So I think you can get to the end, but it's going to take a while. And I just think that you need to ask for help. I've got to say, it's not a weakness. So many people think, I'm a bloke, I can handle this. I don't need to ask for help. I don't need to go to a counsellor or a shrink or whatever you want to call it. Ask for help, because help's there for you.
Yeah.
And I guess that you're not always going to connect, is that modern word, with the person. Well, then find another one.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
Find another one, because they're there. But maybe you need to have somebody help you find that one. Somebody that's not in the headspace that you're in, that assists you to find the person.
Yep, sure.
Because trying to find it yourself might seem, you might give up too easily.
Yeah, and you are right. You might have some ones you don't click with, who therefore maybe aren't going to be that helpful. But once you find the one you click with, then it can really be worth its weight in gold.
And open up. I told the one lady everything in one. She said, people never tell me all this in one hit. And it's just like, well, why would I be holding anything back? Because you actually have to be open to sharing your feelings. Otherwise, you're not giving them a true perspective.
That's right. Yeah. And thank you for sharing that perspective with us today. Yeah. So you mentioned work-life balance and how you see that differently now, and not waiting till retirement to do some of the things you want to do. So what does the future hold in general?
It's an interesting one, really, because I'd still quite like to run away.
Okay.
Sounds weird, doesn't it? But I still actually would quite like to run away and just get out of here. My partner has an elderly mum here. One of my sons lives here. And we have a place that we quite like living in. But I feel like there's more to life. I kind of still want to do something with my life. It feels like I want to do something, but I'm not quite sure what that is. I think you get this, is a hiatus the right word, where you just reach this time where you just need to regroup and just...
And you're in that place now.
Definitely.
Yeah, okay.
Definitely.
You need it.
Yeah, for sure. Sure. It's a good place to be. Yeah.
So is there anything else that you would like to say before we wrap up?
No, I think you've given me the opportunity to let you know how I've managed my way to recover from a pretty shitty situation.
Yeah.
I hope that if only one person hears this and it gives them a bit of hope, then that's why I agreed to do this with you. My wife said to me she couldn't think of anything worse than coming here and doing this today. She's just like, oh, God. But I feel like almost a bit of a duty in a way, because if I can help one other person who's gone through a bit of stuff, if they think, that's good. It's got to be good, isn't it?
Yeah. Thanks, Al, for being so candid with us today about the enormous toll this took on you. I know that many others impacted by Cyclone Gabrielle will relate to so much of what you have shared. But the take-home for all of us is further reaching than that. There's a great message here for anyone struggling with a challenge when they can't see a way forward, for anyone in a dark place considering a way out, and for anyone about to open their mouth without first considering the impact of their words on someone who's vulnerable. You were brave enough to reach out for help, and one of the pieces of advice that really stuck with you was to shine the light on your feet. Thanks for being here today to shine a light on how a typical bloke who's having a tough time can get help and get through it. I would like to dedicate this episode with Al to his beloved dogs, Duke and Nora. Thanks for listening to Under the Weather. It's easy to think that these disasters happen somewhere else, until it's your town, your community, maybe even your family picking up the pieces. Floodwaters rise and recede, but the ripple effect from these stories will endure. If you enjoyed listening to this, please share it, because it's not just about how or if we survive. It's about how we stand stronger together.